This is what happens when your producer asks you to mute yourself during the video. Hi, my name is Nancy Deborah Barrows, and this is Connected Human Conversations. Thank you so much for being here this evening. You are here with us where taboo won't do, and we are on week 3 of TMS. If you haven't been here before, don't worry, we'll catch you up. But it is week 3 of TMS, and I wanted to share my journey with you. And before we get started, I want to remind you, if you are in the United States and your brain is lying to you and telling you that you do not matter and you will not be missed, please pick up the phone and dial 988. You will be connected to a qualified counselor anonymously. Please make that call. And if you are not in the United States or not near a phone, please go to your nearest emergency room. All right, so why are we here? Connected Human Conversations. Well, we're talking about TMS. And for those of you who haven't been here before, TMS stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. And it is an FDA-approved treatment for, among other things, depression. And I recently had the privilege of being referred to this program. I knew nothing about TMS. I had never heard of it before. I am 50 years old and have lived with depression nearly my entire life. I had my first major depressive episode when I was 20 years old. I like to think of myself as someone who's current and up to date in mental health, but I did not know about TMS, which made me think there's probably a lot of other people who don't either. So as I went through this journey, I wanted to be sharing it in case one person, just one person, would benefit from knowing about TMS. So we're going to start with, what is TMS? Transcranial magnetic stimulation. Yeah, that's nice, right? Okay, what is it? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. They take a big magnet and they lay it on your head in a specific spot, and they let it do its thing. And it goes deep into your brain, into the areas that need treatment. So for me, it's for depression. It's going to go into the areas that have to deal with mood and hopefully light those up because they're under stimulated at this point. I'm also doing a protocol for pain, which is an inhibitory protocol. So it'll have a different effect and a different pattern. So it sounds a little bit like a woodpecker, kind of if you were in an MRI. It has these taps. I don't know if you can hear it. And there are different patterns for different treatments in different areas. Well, week 3, before I get into week 3, major side effects. There are actually very few, which made me feel very comfortable doing it. The major side effects are headaches, nausea, and fatigue. And I have been lucky enough to really only experience the fatigue. I had headaches the first weekend, but since then have not had any headaches, and those were manageable. So I am still dealing with the fatigue, which they say some people habituate to and some don't. I am just determined to work my way through it and have the privilege again of having some time that I can take off from work if it really gets too much. And week 3 was definitely the week where I was feeling the cumulative effects. You're eligible for TMS. Most of the requirements are that you do not have a seizure disorder, you do not have metal in certain places implanted, and that you have tried at least 4 medications without real relief from depression. And I fit that category. I've tried more than I can remember. When I was going through my history, it was really kind of painful figuring back to my 20s, all the different medications that I had tried, but that's okay. I didn't have to give them all of them. I just needed to know 4 and when there were. Week 3 of TMS, we have some pictures and some video. I'm going to start you off with the video from week 3. We'll hold off on the other ones, and a little later on, we'll show you week 1 and 2. But week 3, I'm going to show you the videos. And what I will say is week 3 was the week where I got frustrated and where I really felt, like I said, the cumulative effects of the rigor of this program, which is 5 days a week for 36 sessions. Here's the video. As I said, it's a pretty rigorous protocol and it's quite the commitment. It is 5 days a week for 36 days. So week 3 was when I was feeling it. Week 3 was when the enormity of that commitment hit me, that I was going to have to do this every day for many more sessions. And week 3 was the week where I felt like I plateaued. So first week, didn't expect anything. Second week, there's a little bit of a bump and I got excited. And then week 3, I didn't see any change. And in fact, my pain worsened. My nerve pain worsened. And so, of course, my brain is going to, what if this doesn't work? What if it makes it worse? Because I was feeling so desperate in my depression to find something that worked, to get out of it, that it really scared me that we were 3 weeks in and I wasn't seeing the significant change. I wanted to see something that was like profound. And that's just not how our brain works. At least it doesn't work that way for everyone. Some people, they feel results like around 10 to 15 treatments, and others it's later in the 20s to 30s. So I want to bring you on this journey with me so that you know what TMS is, you know what to expect, and so that we can open up this discussion on depression in general. As you can see, if we'll see the other videos, but this week I was more social. I can't say that it was easy or that I really wanted to, or that I didn't regret making plans for some of these things, but I did it. I did it and tried to, in that moment, pay attention to how I was feeling. Was I enjoying it? Was I happy to be there? It did make me feel exhausted. And about halfway through this week, I really was feeling it. The fatigue was hitting, and like I said, the frustration and a little bit of that scary feeling of doubt. But I did it. And I love seeing the videos. I did them for me as much for anyone else, is to see that while I was doing things, it looks like I was enjoying them. So that's exciting for me. Just wondering what everyone's connection is to depression. If you've experienced it yourself, you have a loved one. Have you ever heard of TMS? And while you guys are answering some of those questions and where you're tuning in from, I'm going to take a look at the comments and say hi to everyone. I so appreciate you for being here. It always is a privilege when people show up and share themselves with us and join this community. Hello, Florence. It's so good to see you. So good to see you. I hope you are well. And Amber, thank you, sis. Thank you for all the support and encouragement and for showing up tonight. Angela, it's so good to see you. I hope you are well. Yes, familiar faces. That's what we love about this community. You can always come back and find your people. Hi, Jonathan. Great to see you. I hope you're thriving and doing well. And Bill Bradford, as always, I love you more. Yes. And Tran, hi. And Tran, I did see your question. I think it's a great question. Yes. With Parkinson's being comorbid, pain and depression. I don't know the answer to that. I really wish I did, but I'm going to ask around and Google and see what we can find out together. Hey, Willie J, thank you. Thank you for all the blessings you are constantly sending. Maria Rouse, thank you for always having me in your thoughts and sending so much love and positivity and encouragement. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you spending this time this evening. It is a journey for sure. Mark Lee. All right, I'm going to say it. And if you don't know Mark Lee, it's going to seem so out of context, but hey, Mr. Sexy Man. Okay. All right. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. Mark, it's great to see you. I love that you're sending love to one another. Thank you, Maria, for the encouragement. Right, it's going to work this time. We got to keep a positive attitude. And if you know someone who could use to be feeling seen, heard, loved, and valued, please tag them. If you know someone who would benefit from hearing this information and learning a little bit more. Oh man, if I make it look easy, really? Maria, your experience is caring for a loved one. You're preparing dinner. I bet it's fantastic. You did it with a smile on your face. Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing, is I did it. I did not want to. The social stuff I had to do, some of it I felt I had to. Randy, oh my gosh, so good to see you. I am so overwhelmed with the people who are here to support and show up and hopefully learn something. I'm only in second depression medicine, so I guess I would not qualify. Well, not yet. And maybe you'll find a depression medication, if the one you're on now is not working for you, that does work for you. Maybe you won't need TMS. But the other way to get access to TMS is search for TMS studies. You can do a Google search, TMS studies and your zip code, and see what's going on. If you're, there's a lot of universities and large teaching hospitals that do research, and other places that really, maybe you wouldn't expect there to be research going on, but it is. We all benefit. Thank you. And see, I suffer from anxiety, as does my dad. My mom is bipolar, but admitted to me that recent anxiety is more debilitating than her depression. There's a lot of people who depression and anxiety, they're closer to us than we ever realize until we start talking about it. And I believe there is a treatment. It's not the focus, but as they do the depression treatment, a lot of times they find that anxiety reduces. So I'm just sending so much light and love to you and to everyone who's here, for everyone who's battling, for everyone who's ever been there. And if you've been there or are now supporting a loved one who has depression, we thank you. And if your brain is lying to you right now and telling you that you do not matter and no one would miss you, please, if you're in the United States, pick up the phone and dial 988 and you will be anonymously connected to a qualified counselor. If you are not in the United States or not near a phone, please, you can go to your nearest emergency room. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about what happened this week also in TMS. So in TMS this week, like I said, the commitment, I was tired with work, and I was getting a little bit of confusing information from the different doctors. So you saw in the video, there's different doctors that come in, and there's a group of doctors, and they are, you cycle through them. Sometimes you see the same one 2 days in a row. Sometimes you see them once, but it's always been the same pool of doctors. And you talk to someone different every day. You talk to someone different every day. And so sometimes you don't get the same answer, or sometimes you don't have the same relationship with the doctor. And I had been told at one point, that during the first treatment, which is left side of the head forward for depression, that there should be no extremity movement. Now, I don't know if you caught in that video, my eyebrow is twitching. That's okay. The magnet's right here. That they don't worry about. But my hand had been twitching. And when I did one treatment and pointed it out to someone, the doctor that was there that day said, well, the treatment is 1,000 pulses and we want to make sure you get all of them. And if you're getting trembling in your hands, it means that we're probably a little bit too far back, a little bit off the spot. And they redid the treatments that were from where we paused it. We finished after they repositioned the magnet, and then went back to the beginning of the treatment to give me the other half to make sure that I got the full efficacy of the treatment. So the protocol was done with fidelity, as they like to say. And so the next day or a couple of days later, I had some trembling in my hand again, and I called and asked the doctor, and that doctor wasn't concerned. And I expressed that the previous doctor had explained to me that it's a sign that maybe we're not in the right place. And I was getting really frustrated because one person redid it. One person said, no, it's no problem. It's not that much of a tremble. So it turns out that there should be no movement in the hands, or very little is what I'm understanding, but really prefer none. If there is movement in my hand when they do further back for pain, that's okay. That's close to the motor cortex. So what I've learned is not only those specific things, but anything that changes from one session to the next, anything new, I now press the little, what I like to call panic button, so that I ask, like, hey, this is happening this time. Is this okay? And what I do is I follow it up the next time and ask the next doctor the next day saying, hey, this happened yesterday. Is this okay? And it was really nice because I think my speaking up and being upset about the conflict changed a little bit of how they do things, because they were talking about how they will try and get all on the same page about what the parameters are and what they're telling patients, so that people don't have to be confused. All right, let's see if anyone new came in. Tran, I had depression before you got diagnosed. Talk therapy, found out it was, okay, yes, of course, because Parkinson's has to do with dopamine and all that stuff. So it does impact mood. In fact, depression is one of the very early signs of Parkinson's that we often overlook. The cat is trying to steal the show, always. Now she's in my lap making biscuits. Right, in practice. And their practice, Randy, what I'm discovering, is only as good as we challenge them to be. in terms of if you have a question, ask it. That means that they're going to have to rise to the occasion, find the information, answer your question. We've got to advocate for ourselves. Everyone there is rooting for me. That's not the issue. But it's important as a patient that I get information. And I think they've learned about me that I'm pretty detail oriented and I want to know what's going on. And I have questions about how it works and things like that. So they've been great in answering my questions and just learning as I go. And if that helps anyone else, then I'm happy to be here. Was there anyone else who came in that was new? Let's see. So Randy, Maria, Randy. I thought I saw someone new. Okay. Well, hopefully I said hello. If I didn't, call me out in the comments. Hey, say hi to me. Hey, Bob, have heard of TMS, studied extensively, has been proven to work. Yes, so that it's an FDA-approved treatment for depression, among other things. They do it for depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, pain disorders, tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears. It's amazing what we're learning about the brain more and more and more every day. And yes, you got to advocate for yourself. Ask those questions. Get answers that satisfy you. If you're not getting the answers, then ask someone else. That's what I did. The doctor gave me the information. I was not feeling satisfied. So the next day I asked the next doctor, how much does the cat or pets help with therapy? I've heard some people animal like that, even fish and plant. I have to say that I think animals are great therapy for almost anything, but certainly I find for depression and anxiety, my cats make me smile. They give me unconditional love. And there's research that shows that their purr, the frequency of their purr is actually healing. Depression, Parkinson's, one of my mom's brothers suffers from Parkinson's. Yes, I didn't know it either. I started to learn more and more about Parkinson's as a family member was diagnosed and realizing that that's one of the early signs of Parkinson because it is in and working against and impacting the areas of the brain that deal with dopamine, so that can cause depression early on. Do you keep a written diary? Oh, such a great question. So I intended to keep a written diary, and in the beginning I was doing a pretty good job. And what I found is that the videos that I'm taking, I take one usually in the morning. I try to take one like as I'm getting up in the morning, one as I'm going out the door to work, maybe one on my way in the middle, and then definitely one after TMS. And that's been working for me more easily because I don't always have my journal with me. I'm a paper pencil journaler, and I did go to my journal at the end of the day and sometimes would forget things. So I've been using the videos as my journaling, but I think it's a really cool thing to document because I was looking back and just starting to get a sense of where I was starting, how I was feeling, and all the different changes over time. So let's quickly do the TMS videos. Hang in there. They're a bit long, but they do show the progression from week to week. And then when we come back, what I would like to talk about is why people react to depression the way they do. Why is it that when I tell people that I suffer from depression or live with depression, they want to know, well, why? You have nothing to be depressed about. If I told those same people that I had diabetes, do you think they'd ask me why I couldn't just try harder to get my pancreas to work? Just choose to have my pancreas work? Probably not. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's watch the videos. was TMS week 1. And it was exhausting. I think both emotionally and the fact that I was doing the treatment. And I am so grateful to have the support of Brian Schulman. You see him in the videos and pictures. I have my own personal support person, which is really nice. Like I started to say before, I think it's really interesting. One of the things that I posted about a while ago is things not to say with people to people with depression. And one of those things that's out there that really bothers me, and let us know in the comments, let each other know, let me know if it bothers you, the phrase choose happy. As someone who lives with depression, every time I see choose happy, I want to scream at the top of my lungs and say, like, I am trying harder than anyone I know to choose happy. If it were that easy, I would do it. That's not how depression works. Asking what happened, it's not tied to an event necessarily. An event can be a trigger, sure, but most people who suffer from depression don't necessarily know exactly what made them depressed. And when they try and figure it out, there feels like there's a lot of pressure to be able to tell someone this is what did it. And I think people want to know what was the thing because they think if they know what the thing is, it can be fixed. If you know what caused it, we can fix it. Well, I can tell you what causes it. It's an imbalance in brain chemistry. And we do try and fix it all sorts of ways. I was having this, right, Bob, you've got to show up. You've got to show up and happy will choose you. So choose happy isn't one of my favorites. What I like to say is have a day. When I talk to people I know that are struggling, it's not have a good day. Just have a day. Have a day. I was talking to someone recently, and as I started to say, yes, absolutely. Toxic positivity. We're not helping anyone by showing up and pretending everything's okay. It might make people comfortable, but it doesn't mean it's helping because literally we'll end up killing one another. If I show up perfect all the time and I don't show people how I struggle, they start to think that their life should be as easy as mine. If she can do it, why can't I? Well, guess what? None of us feels joy and happiness in every moment. Sadness is part of life. And if you're doing it right, if you're living life and being human, there are going to be sad, hard moments. And that's okay. They're part of the journey. So I was talking to someone, and the idea of like, you have nothing to be depressed about. Like, what do you have to be depressed about? Another one. Please don't say that to someone who's, what do you have to be depressed about? First of all, you don't know what's going on in someone's life. Maybe they do have a lot going on. And if you're going to say that, be ready for the conversation. Be ready to have that conversation. Be ready to sit in the discomfort. Be ready to be empathetic and be there in a real way. But it bothers me, and I'm sure it bothers other people, because if I wore eyeglasses, no one asked me why. Well, because there's something going on with my eyes, diabetes. There's something going on with my pancreas. I don't know what caused my pancreas to fail. I don't know what makes my eyes work the way they do or be shaped the way they are. Same is true for depression. It's the same thing. So asking, what do you have to be depressed about? Well, first of all, be ready for the answer. And second of all, know that depression isn't necessarily tied to specific events. There's the if you tried harder, if you really want it, those kinds of phrases that people will say, like, if it's really important to you, well, then you'll do it. Well, it's really important to me that I shower, but I will stand in front of my shower and have an in-depth conversation with myself about turning on the water. Just turn on the water. Turn on the water. That's all you have to do. Yes, that's what depression's like, almost like the weather. It changes. It can change within an hour. It can change over the course of a day. It can change over the course of a week or a month. It could be like a season versus, a storm's coming in, and you don't always know when it's coming. So when people say things like, well, if you just tried harder, if it's really important, Listen, that shower, like I said, is important to me. I will stand there and try to coach myself through and cheerlead myself through turning on the water. Now, if I get the water on, then I'm first going to have to charge myself through getting in. I have told myself, don't bother taking off your clothes, just get in the shower. And some people think it's a tough love thing. Again, try harder. You got to do it. Make an ultimatum. Well, I've got to tell you, if someone put an ultimatum on me in the last 2 weeks about showering, I don't know that I could, even if the other thing was so unpalatable. Sometimes it just feels and can be impossible to do the little things. It takes a tremendous amount of effort. And if you want to ask me why I can't get in the shower, I have no clue. I have no clue why it's so hard to get in the shower. And most people with depression don't know either. And it's a common thing where hygiene becomes really difficult, taking care of ourselves. Could there be something that's, more on the subconscious of like, I don't want to take care of myself. I don't deserve to take care of myself. Perhaps, but I've got to tell you that doesn't resonate very deeply with me. We are going to watch week 2 video. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how you can check in with people in ways that feel good, and how this is not the most wonderful time of the year for a lot of people. It's not the most wonderful time of the year for everyone. It was week 2, and you saw my hand doing the flickering. That's before I knew it wasn't supposed to. I just thought it was pretty cool the first time it happened, and then I learned. So it is not the most wonderful time of the year for everyone. And I think sometimes we forget that. And while people with depression and who are struggling with all sorts of mental health issues, illnesses, or just battles, now, this time of year, it's so important that we show up for each other. Because people who maybe aren't otherwise depressed may start to feel depressed during the holidays. It's not just those of us who deal with depression year round. How do we show up for one another? Well, if you have a suggestion, please put it in the comments. If someone's done something for you that felt really good, please share that. I know that it's a good time of year and it's always a good idea, but particularly now, those people who tend to be there for everyone else, check on them. Check on the people who, are willing to help everyone else. See if they need help. One of the things I know people are afraid of is you see someone that's suffering maybe or puts a post up and you're like, wow, I haven't talked to that person in so long. They don't want to hear from me. Not true. Being seen and being heard by anyone feels good. If I haven't talked to you in 6 months, a year, I'm not going to be upset that you're checking on me. I'm going to appreciate that. Be willing to get uncomfortable. Be willing to have a hard conversation and be willing to not try and fix it. Being there with someone and for someone is one of the most powerful things you can do. I saw this comment and yes, it sparks two things for me. First is ask people how they are and then ask them again. We have a tendency, as you're saying here in the United States, how are you? I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Okay, but how are you? Follow it up. People sometimes don't say it the first time because we toss that out as like a freebie. You're supposed to say fine. Nobody really wants to know who you are. But if you follow it up with a second ask, it lets the person know that you really are interested in their well-being and how they're doing. And as you're posting this year with all this fun and joy, just see the people who for this time of year, it is not the most wonderful time of the year. And the other thing that comment sparked for me, thank you, Bob, I appreciate it, is culturally depression is dealt with differently. It's seen differently. And I'm curious if you're willing to share, how were feelings dealt with? How are they shown in your family of origin growing up? What is your relationship to feelings? What is your family's relationship to feelings? Some people will say, oh, I don't do drama. Oh, does that mean you don't do feelings? Are feelings connected to being something negative? Like it's drama to have feelings? Is it something, that people kept a stiff upper lip and you weren't supposed to have feelings? That you walked around in an emotional ice age? Did you have a really great home that acknowledged feelings and allowed you to have them and that it was okay? No matter big, no matter how small, you could own them. If you didn't grow up that way, you can create that environment for yourself now. You really can, where all of the feelings, big to small, this amazing ability we have to experience a wide range of emotions is a gift and to appreciate them all. And inherently, none of them are negative. So if you can be curious about them rather than judgmental, it goes a long way. We're going to play the last TMS video, which is week 3. And then we'll ask and see if there's any other questions, anything anyone wants to talk about. I see something from Bob that I just want to quickly look. You have to take care of a lot of people. Some of them are drama. Some of them are stoic. I am expected to be the rock. It's hard sometimes. Yes, exactly. Check in on the people who show up for others. Check in on the people who are the ones that run into the burning buildings. It doesn't mean just because we can do it for others that we're doing okay ourselves. All right, let's put that last video up. And again, if you have any additional comments, anything you want to talk about, please put it in the comments while we watch the video and we can come back and talk about it. And we'll do a quick little review and recap and say goodnight for this night and wish you all well. video first, then we'll get a little chat and look, night time. I am Nancy Deborah Barrows, and this is Connected human conversations where taboo won't do. And we're getting ready to wrap up here. I saw some really lovely comments that I want to acknowledge before we go. And I have two more things that I want to share. Thank you, Allie O. I appreciate that. Radiating real is super important, you guys. If we don't do it, it's such a powerful thing to show up as you are. Thank you, Mark Lee. I appreciate you too. I want to share that, Angela, what did I talk about? The only way we can understand is if we're willing to learn more, and that means asking questions, right? It means having some uncomfortable conversations, and it means being willing. As someone who lives with depression, I am willing to answer all of your questions. I'd rather you know it than guess. I'd rather you hear it from someone first person than think you know. And it also gives my experience purpose and power if I can help someone else with it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So 2 quick things before I go. If you are not sure what to say when you reach out to someone, send an emoji, send a gift. Really, the part that matters is that someone is thinking of you and making an effort, doing something to let you know about that. The other thing I will say, Mark Lee had some really powerful words. I appreciate you. You mean so much to me. You add so much to my life. You can say all sorts of things that let that person know they're important and they've had an impact, a positive impact. For me, one of the things that I will do is I will text people checking on them because I need some interaction. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling depressed. And if I reach out first, but I don't say that's how I'm feeling, but I check on someone else, for me, as a person who's depressed, it's a good little trick. You can try it yourself. You're not asking for help. You don't have to tell anyone that you're not doing great. I encourage you to share where you're at because it's not a shame. There's no shame in being depressed. There's nothing shameful here. And most people want to know, and most people want to help. Thank you guys again. Thank you to everyone for being here. I so appreciate you sharing you with us and choosing to spend your time with us here tonight. Again, if your brain is lying to you and telling you you do not matter and no one will miss you, please, in the United States, pick up the phone and dial 988. You will be connected with a qualified counselor anonymously. And if you are not in the United States or not near your phone, please go to your nearest emergency room for help. Thank you for joining me on my TMS journey. Thank you for sharing you with us. Thank you for being here for this connected human conversation and making that possible. And thank you for joining me in Taboo Won't Do. Have a great week. See you next time.